Hello, Gavin Hoey here with the Technique of the Month from Digital Photo Magazine. Now this month we've gone all autumnal and we've got a brilliant autumn template. Now I've been out into the garden, found some autumn leaves and photographed them, and let's open one on screen now into Paint Shop Pro so we can have a little look. Now the idea is that we're going to cut out the leaf from the background and add it onto the template. But to make life much easier, I photographed these leaves against a white background, or a white piece of paper. It just helps with the next step. Now the next step is simply to get the magic wand tool and click anywhere on that white background to make a basic selection. Now we're going to improve the selection by coming up to Selections, choosing Modify, and Expand, because if we left the selection as it is, it would often have a white halo around the edge of the object. Now we're going to expand this selection by just 2 pixels. That doesn't sound like it a lot, but it's enough to remove that light coloured halo. Now I'm going to go back to Selections and I'm going to choose Modify and then Feather. And we're going to feather the selection by 1 single pixel. Again, that sounds even less, but feathering simply removes any hard, jagged edges and gives a much cleaner selection. Finally, we've got to change the selection round, because at the moment the white background is selected and we want the leaf to be selected. So Selections and Invert, and then we can go over to Edit and choose Cut. Now I like Cut because you can actually make sure you've got the right bit of the picture, which is the leaf, because it's easy to get that wrong. We'll close that down, we don't need to save the changes, and we can go back to Edit and choose Paste As New Layer. And that'll put our leaf onto our template. So far so good, but the leaf is a little bit on the big side, so let's change the pick tool and resize things by grabbing a corner handle, and don't forget to hold the Alt key so when you shrink your leaf down it stays the right size and shape. It stays proportional, in other words. That's looking around about the right size. I think we can just twist it around a little bit. Let's just get the rotation handle and give it a little twist to the side like that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Right, okay, so happy with that, but looking at it, it does look like it blends in a little bit too much to the background. So what I'm going to do is to darken the leaf, and a nice quick and simple way of darkening the leaf is simply to change the blend mode from normal to multiply. Now that'll have the effect of not only darkening the leaf, but blending it in with the background. It does kind of look a bit flat and a bit two-dimensional. So to give it a bit of a three-dimensional feel, I'm going to put a bit of a shadow in behind the leaf. Now the fastest way to do that is to use a layer style. So on the layer, raster 1, the one with the leaf, double click the layer itself, and that'll bring up the layer properties. And at the end here you're going to find layer styles. And right at the bottom of the list you're going to find drop shadow, so put a little tick in there. Now this is a little bit tricky to use because it is kind of hard to see what you're doing. You've got the before and after, or you can preview it on the image, but that does take up a fair bit of time, so we'll stick to the before and after. I'm just going to click on the pan and pan round to the edge of the leaf like that. And here I can see this is the before and the after, and clearly the shadow's a little bit on the big side. Perhaps if we just zoom out a little bit we might get a better idea. Yeah, we can see it goes miles and miles and miles. Well, there's a few things we can do. First of all, I'm going to change the size, and I'm going to bring the size fairly far up towards the right-hand side. Now that'll take a minute or two to change on the preview, but what that's going to do is to soften the edge of the shadow so it becomes much softer. Shouldn't say size, it should say softness, but there you go. And then I'm going to change the angle of light, which is this little push pin thing down here. I'm just going to drag that and give it a bit of a twist to the side, like so. And that again is going to take a moment or two just to render on the after preview, but there you can see it's moved the shadow back underneath the leaf. Now, I don't want to do this every single time I bring a leaf in. I've got to do this 3 more times. So I'm going to click on the save icon there. We'll give it a name. Let's call it DP setting. Okay, and we'll click OK. So that'll save that as a little preset. So next time I can just apply that without having to go through those steps. Okay, and that'll put that layer style onto the image. Okay, so let's open up another leaf and repeat the process. So let's go a little bit quicker this time. We'll get the magic wand tool, and then we'll go to selections, and we'll choose modify and expand. We'll expand it by 2 pixels. Fortunately, it remembers the last setting, so I don't have to change it. Feather it by 1 pixel, and selections and invert, and then edit and cut, or the keyboard shortcut Control and X, that would work even faster. Close it down, and then the edit, paste as new layer, or Control and L, of course, that works pretty quick too. Right, so that's going to paste that onto the image. And we'll just zoom out a little bit so we can see what we're doing, and we'll get the pick tool. And remember to hold the Alt key, which is very easy to forget. You'll instantly remember the minute you forget, and it all goes a bit squished out of shape. But remembered, so that's good. We'll squeeze it down in size, like that. And then we'll give it a bit of a twist to the side by moving the rotation handle. And it needs to be just a tiny bit smaller again. Good, okay, so there we go. That's got leaf number 2 in position. Remember we changed the blend mode, so we'll do that again. We'll change that to multiply. And then double click anywhere on the layer. And we'll go to layer styles. Put a tick in drop shadow. And from the little list, we'll find a preset called DP setting. There we go. And that's going to apply exactly the same thing as we had before. So we can simply click OK. And that'll put the drop shadow onto the leaf. Like that. Okay, so that's 2 done. Let's speed things up a little bit. Now I've already cut a few leaves out, so let's bring the 3rd one on, which has already done the cutting out bit. So we'll just go to edit and choose cut. And close it down. And edit and paste as layer. And then we'll use the pick tool. And holding the Alt key, we'll just resize the 3rd leaf along, like that. And we'll give it a bit of a twist. There we go. And we'll change the blend mode to multiply. And we'll do the same thing with the layer style. So let's double click on that layer, jump to layer styles. From the little drop down list, we'll choose DP settings and click OK. And there's our drop shadow again. Okay, so 2 down, 3 down, 1 to go. Once again, I've cut this one out for speed, but the technique is exactly the same as before. So we'll get that one. We won't save the changes, but we will paste it as a layer. And then when it comes in as a layer, we'll grab the pick tool, we'll hold the Alt key, and we'll shrink that down as well. Let's bring that down to the bottom right cell, just down there. Lovely. And again, we'll give it a bit of a twist. Let's twist it the other way, just like that. So it gives a nice bit of kind of symmetry to our leaves. Very nice. And again, we'll change the blend mode, which is currently normal. Change it to multiply. Double click on the layer. Go to the layer styles. And there it is, the DP setting, all ready and waiting for us. And we'll click OK. And again, that'll just take a moment or two to apply to the image. There it is. So there becomes our drop shadow on all 4 leaves. Now you could stop there, but let's just take this one little step further. Let's just open another image that you'll find on the cover disc. And it's this one. It's a photograph of paper. But the reason I like it is because of the texture. So let's go to edit and copy. And then we can get rid of the paper. We don't need that. And we'll go back to edit and choose paste as new layer. So that'll paste the paper texture over the whole of the image. Like that. And you may think, crikey, something's gone wrong because I've lost all of the work that I've done. Well, don't worry, it just so happens that the paper texture is exactly the same size as the template. Anyone would think we planned these things. And what I'm going to do is just to change the blend mode to combine the texture of the paper and the image that we've created. So we'll change the blend mode, which is currently set to normal, and we'll change it to overlay. And that combines the texture with the picture. And I think that gives a very nice kind of autumnal feel to things. A lovely textured image. So there we go. That's a autumn image created using leaves I've just found in the garden. Have a go with your own pictures. They don't have to be leaves, they can be anything you like, and see what wonderful creations you can come up with.